Okay, making this video today about the Christmas Day shooting here in Webster, New York. I actually grew up here in Webster. Moved here when I was about 5. I went to all the schools in Webster as far as kindergarten through high school. Anyway, long-time resident. Moved here in the 60s. And wanted to show you some interesting stuff that I discovered about you know, some things that I don't think that many people really know about. So I wanted to put this video out there, and you know, anybody seeing this is gonna just have to draw their own conclusions on what I saw, and if you think there's anything to it, because I think there is. Otherwise I wouldn't put it out there.
And Mike Chipperini, a father of 3.
Mike was firefighter of the year. We just announced that 2 weeks ago, and it was for a reason. Tomaz, he was a young kid, but he was a leader in his own way. He was very energetic, very heartfelt. He put a lot of time and effort into this.
While there is loss, there is a hope that these heroes shine a light through the darkness.
I'd like to think that...
Which is what I'm trying to do here, is shine a light on the darkness. And you're going to have to watch the whole video to get the gist of what I'm saying.
We had those two as angels among us, and now they're looking down on us. So at least when we're fighting the fire, I know we're going to have 2 angels watching us, you know?
And I think they are.
The West Webster Fire Department plans to go back into service as soon as...
Okay. Thank you, Caroline. Now let's go see what Jeff Beck might have to say about things.
I don't think you even knew existed. It goes against everything Manifest Destiny teaches about Native Americans. And I want you to know this part of our history because people erased it. And we'll get to that later on in the program. Erased it intentionally. That's an important part of it. America's history didn't begin with Christopher Columbus came over. There were ancient cities with advanced architectures all across North America. Did you know that? Hundreds of years before Columbus came. We always think, oh, the Indians, they didn't scour the land. No, not true. These were cities as large as any in the world at the time. London or Rome, they were metropolises. Archaeologists say they have found evidence of 200,000 actual cities of mound-like structures all across North America that were here long before Columbus. But we don't know anything about them. Why? Why? Especially when you hear what you're about to hear. I want to show you 3 incredible examples of these Indian mounds that were discovered. But before I show you this, I want you to ask these questions. Was Jackson right? Andrew Jackson, Manifest Destiny, the beginning of that. Was he right that the Native Americans were savages? Or was Jefferson right that there was something going on here that we don't even understand? Maybe they were descendants of Egyptians or Jews, or maybe they were from Asia. Where were these people from? But they weren't savages. I want you to take a look at this. This is going to blow your mind. See this here? First, let me show you the Great Pyramid of Giza. You've seen this? One side of the Great Pyramid of Giza. If you measure it, it is from the bottom to the apex, 606 feet. That's important. That's
like Glenn Beck just said, that is important. What I'm going to show you, that is very important. Just like he says.
It's an ancient unit of measurement. It's referred to as the stade.
The stade, an ancient unit of measurement.
Now I want to show you this. These are the Newark earthworks. They're here in Ohio. Yes, Ohio. The earthworks are made, they're structures that are made now of earth that has been built up from the ground in a perfect circle. Here it is, a perfect circle and a perfect octagon. But they were built by the ancient Hopewell civilization. They date back from 300 BC to 400 AD. So let's look at these structures here. Bring this up. I want to show you something. If you square the inside of the octagon, here's a square and here's a square. If you square it, this is what surveyors do when they're measuring. They square the circle, and then they divide that area into 4 equal parts, or cubes, and then you find that each cube is made up of 606 feet, 606 feet, 606 feet, 606 feet. 606. It's made up of stades, exactly the same.
Now keep and look at that 606. That's why I'm showing you this. 606, 666. Just take a look at all the angles and how these mathematical setups and formulas are all important, going back to what he said, ancient times.
Now, if that's not interesting enough, look at the angle of the Great Pyramid of Giza. If you take the angle of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the slope is 51.8 degrees. Let's go back to the earthworks. If you measure the line that goes straight through the center of the structure, right here, and then you'll go true north, it's 51.8 degrees. That angle is exactly the same angle as the pyramids of Giza. It is the...
All right, you get the point. It's the angles, it's the 606, it's the setup with structures as, you know, opposed to how they match up with other structures. And I needed to show you that to help understand what I'm going to show you about what happened here in Webster, or what I think happened, or may have happened. Now this next video, this was made in 1993, and these guys are discussing what they think is coming in the future. The new age, Age of Aquarius, 5th age. But listen to what this guy says, very interesting stuff. This was made in 1993.
Well, what we have in the New Age movement isn't just something from the top down. It's the masses are being conditioned also. It's not just, okay, most people, when they hear the term New Age, automatically, they think of fringe religious groups. They think of Shirley MacLaine, they think of crystals, you know. But this goes far beyond, you know, individuals like that, personalities. Not just mainstream American culture, but mainstream European culture, this is going Japanese culture, is being redirected and restructured for a mystical experience of what they call higher consciousness, to be guided and directed in a mystical sense.
I did an interview with Benjamin Krem, who's the representative of Lord...
Guided in a mystical sense, okay? Guided and directed in a mystical sense.
Hitler being influenced by Madame Blavatsky...
is what's coming, which is now we're here. Now, this thing, this article actually, I think this was actually came out in October or September, but I found it in November, right before Thanksgiving. And it was really this article, when this came out, that this pentagram is in the earth in Kazakhstan, that kind of set me into some information that led me back to Webster. So I went from Kazakhstan, believe it or not, I'm going to show you that this pentagram in Kazakhstan is actually linked to Webster. Not only linked to Webster, but linked to William Spengler's house. Now I know that sounds crazy, but I'm going to show you what I mean. And I'm going to also tell you that this was an NBC News article because some people on Google Earth are checking it out, you know, what they see, and they found this pentagram and they were asking about it. And so NBC did this this crock of a freaking news article on what this might be. And, you know, basically said it's 1,200 feet in diameter, and, you know, met some local, you know, historian who said it was a park, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And they try to say it was, you know, the star of, you know, that you see on the flag in Russia, which is just complete crap. And you know, this is NBC News, you know, that's telling you this. And when you see what I'm going to show you, just think, this is NBC News putting out an article about a pentagram. And what do you tell you what I see about this pentagram that they don't tell you? And coming up with this bogus news story. It's just ridiculous. So I just felt like I had to come in and show you a lot more about this pentagram than what NBC News will ever tell you. This is Google Earth. This is the pentagram in Kazakhstan. And when I found this, by the way, when I first found this thing was not grayed out For some reason they've changed this image and it's been grayed out. But one thing about this pentagram is look down here, and you'll see when I put the wand in the middle of this pentagram, it's 666 feet above sea level. Exactly. Another thing about this pentagram, put this in feet, the radius is 666 feet. Now it's tough to get that to exactly 666, but you get the point. It's 666 feet in radius. Now, what really freaked me out about this pentagram, and I can't even explain exactly why I even took this measurement, other than I followed this all around the earth because this thing is pointing due south, and it came really close to Salt Lake City, Utah. So I started taking some measurements, wondering if there was anything to that, and discovered something pretty interesting. I wish I wasn't so freaking blind. But anyway, I'm going to put the cursor here on the north side of this circle and show you something that I thought was completely insane. We're going to Salt Lake City, Utah. And just think of what Glenn Beck just said about the 606, okay? And just in numerology, by the way, there's no zero in numerology. You want to know about numerology, get this book here. Very interesting stuff. And, you know, of course, you got to have that too. You need both of them. But anyway, this is the Mormon Tabernacle in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now keep in mind what I'm going to tell you. The Mormons are only a part of it. So don't think that what I'm showing you is Mormon, because it's a lot more than that. But anyway, I go dead center to the Mormon Tabernacle, and what do you got? 6,000.06 miles. 6,00006. It's the sixes that matter. And quite frankly, if you go back to the pentagram, you'll find that this actually 6,000.066 miles. I did it in feet just to see. And then from there, it's 666 feet to the middle of the pentagram, and it's in some numerological, you know, dance with the Mormon Tabernacle, which is completely crazy, but that's what it is. And it's probably not so crazy if you really knew the history of what the world's all about. So anyway, I wanted to show you that because that's important, because as you know, the Mormons were not discovered in Salt Lake City, Utah. They were discovered in Palmyra, New York, which is just across, you know, not too far from Webster, New York. So that's kind of what took me to the next step here. So what is the next step? Well, you got the Mormon Tabernacle, and you got this pentagram. And by the way, there's the line right there. Goes from there to there. Kazakhstan to there. You know, and I wanted to show you something else about this pentagram that's going to be important a little bit later, but I'm going to point it out now. Well, first of all, before I forget, this pentagram is on a peninsula. You see that? It's surrounded by three sides. And by the way, this is out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing here. This is literally nowhere. There's a little tiny town somewhere over here and over here somewhere, but this is literally in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, this thing over here, this V looking thing, I'll turn this up. If you look close at this, there's actually, I don't know if you can see them on this video, but there's lines, perfectly circular lines. Here's the center, there's a line, there's a circular diameter line, a circular diameter line, and they're all 2/10 apart. I don't know if you can see it. There's a line there, and there it is there, and it's 2/10. And then you go to the next one, which is right there, and it's 2/10. And it's 2/10. So they're all 2/10 of a mile apart in diameter. And like I said, I don't know if you can see it on this video, but it's pretty wild. You can kind of see the lines, and they circle these 2 points on the V. Okay? So you got circle, 2/10, circle, 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 and there's 13 of them on both of these, like an antenna of some sort. The interesting thing is what are they trying to communicate? With something above Earth or something in the Earth? I don't know. This is really kind of a weird thing. And this V is a 5. And by the way, I'll show you later, but I took the measurements of these and that triangle, what this triangle would make, and the angle based on how long these are, and I'll show you that later, is exactly 66.2211 degrees. This angle right here. 66.2211 when I calculated using an online calculator with the measurements of these 3 legs, which are all 3 different. This is not a right triangle, or a, what do they call that when all sides are equal? But anyway, very interesting, and it's right next to this pentagram. And this thing here was kind of weird too. There's some peace sign looking thing in here, and this, I don't know. This looks like, I don't know what this looks like. It kind of looks like a gateway to the underworld to me. It's just really bizarre. And this over here, by the way, is an airstrip, and this is some patch that it looks like they're blocking something off Google Earth, because there's something underneath this patch here. This is something that was added. I don't know what that's trying to hide there, but this is an airstrip, which they did a good job of hiding. And then here, I think they changed this picture recently because there was a boat there. So, you know, it looks like to me people flying over here on this airstrip, take a boat over this pentagram, and who the freak knows what they're doing at this pentagram. That I would like to find out, but good luck. Anyway, I want to bring you over to Illinois, because some interesting stuff at the Mormon temple in Nauvoo, Illinois. Okay, first of all, this is on a river. Okay, there's the river. And here's Nauvoo. And it looks like it's a peninsula, doesn't it? Kind of like that peninsula where the pentagram is. There's 3 sides around water. It's a peninsula. It's kind of weird. But anyway, here's the Mormon Tabernacle in Nauvoo, Illinois. And I'm going to take you down and show you. Here, I love this Google Earth. That these right here on the tabernacle in Salt Lake City are clearly pentagrams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them, which is interesting. 5th age, maybe. And there's also in the white buttresses here too, there's a, I don't know if you can see that, but it's a pentagram, and the south point on this is actually extended on these that are on the buttresses here. But anyway, this is I can't really read that, but anyway, Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, Nauvoo, Illinois Temple. But I also want to show you something else when I was messing around here that I saw that I thought was interesting. This street here, if I can get to it, is Knight Street. You can see that. Knight Street. And I think he was the name, I know he was the name of the chaplain at the fire hall there in West Webster. But anyway, as you can see, this thing's on a peninsula, and the pentagrams are on the building. And they are on, I'm sure, the one in Salt Lake City. You just can't see that one from the street as well as this one. But that's kind of interesting. Which is going to bring me to our area. And this, turn that off. This is Hill Cumorah. This is William Spengler's house. And this is Soda's Point, which becomes very important in a few minutes here after I show you a few other things. But the one thing that came to my mind, and I can't completely explain how it came to my mind to even look at this, other than, you know, I know a little bit about numerology. I know a lot about numbers. I took, heck, in math in college, I took all the way up to differential equations, linear algebra, matrices, you know, you bring numbers into a whole different realm on what numbers are all about. They're not just these digits on paper. Read a little bit about Pythagoras, numerology, and you know, and you really find out that numbers are a lot more than digits. They actually vibrate, and there's meaning to them, I think. But anyway, if I just didn't kick that out of whack, the thing that I want to show you here that just blew me away when I found this out, and I actually knew this was going to happen before I took this measurement. I sat here and I said, this thing is somehow connected to Spengler's house, and I actually need to show you some. Yeah, the alignments. Okay, this is a field report done by the gentleman who went into Hill Cumorah, and they also have a second temple that they built on Temple Street, and another obelisk. But this guy went in and took measurements on the obelisk on Hill Cumorah and the temple they built on Temple Street, and, you know, found some alignments. The alignment of the new obelisk, or whatever is on that building, points due north, true Polaris. And the alignment in Hill Cumorah, and it says all this in here, points directly to the new obelisk. And they think when it was built in 1935, I think is when they built that, 1935, they built the obelisk on Hill Cumorah. The Polaris was in a different spot. But anyway, on September 22nd, I want to point this out because it was after I read this that what I'm going to tell you next. When Joe Smith met the Angel Maroni up on Hill Cumorah here, it was always on September 22nd for like 4 years straight. There was some other dates, but it was mainly, I guess, once he started meeting this Angel Maroni, it was on the 22nd for like 4 years straight, and you can find that out pretty easy. And then this actually goes on to show you the alignments and the different temples. But here's the Hill Cumorah obelisk, and Angel Maroni's on top. And here's the alignments. You probably can't see that very well, but this is on the temple that they built on Temple Street, the other obelisk, and this is a guy who's blowing a horn on top of this thing. And this shows you the alignment. This is Hill Cumorah looking at the obelisk on Temple Street, and this is due north watching Polaris for this new obelisk. And here you go. Here's both of them. Here's Hill Cumorah, and here's Temple Street. But after I saw this, I just started getting these feeling that there was something more to this obelisk, and for some reason it might be, this is pretty cool here, but anyway, that it might be 22 miles from this obelisk to William Spengler's house. And don't ask me why that even came into my mind, but it did. And I sat here and I said, you know, don't ask me why. I know this is going to be 22 miles, but I'm going to measure it anyway. And I'm going to clear this because I want to get to the other one. And I'm going to measure this anyway. And I sat here and I said, I know this is going to be 22 miles exactly. Don't ask me why. And I brought this to William Spengler's house. and found that to his back porch right there is exactly 22 miles. Right there. 22 miles, and he met Maroni on this thing on the 22nd. Now, I'll tell you what else is interesting about this, is that 22-mile radius only touches 15 properties in the town of Webster. I looked at this, and I'll show you it later too. It touches 15 properties in the town of Webster, and 9 of them burned to the ground on Christmas Eve 2012. A 22-mile stretch or radius literally goes right through these properties and then back out into the lake, and it goes into Rochester, and that's the only properties that it touches in Webster. And out of those 15 properties, 9 of them burned to the ground. That's weird. Now, here's where it gets really freaking weird. You think that's weird? It gets crazier.